Sporting Journal Radio, presented by Onyx.
All right, now it's time to talk to Joe Henry from Lake of the Woods Tourism about that big walleye factory in northern Minnesota. Joe, how you doing?
Doing good. How's it going, Brett?
I'm doing well. Sounds like anglers have been getting up to the Northwest Angle and finding quite a bit of fish up there. And then there was another tournament up there recently, wasn't there?
So you know what? First off, we had the Warrior Boats tournament up there. It's the David A. Anderson Memorial Shootout. It was 133 Warrior boats went out and competed in a catch, record, release walleye tournament. And you know, my goodness, if these are some good anglers, and you know, the winning team was actually a couple, and they went out and caught 5 walleyes for more than 42 pounds. That's over an 8-pound average per walleye. You know, an 8-pound walleye is a fish of a lifetime for most people. They got 5 of them. So, I mean, you know, just fishing's been very, very good. And the bite was even off a little bit, anglers tell me that day. So fishing's been great. You know, I can tell you up at the Northwest Angle, my goodness, I mean, you know, kind of a loaded question, but, you know, what happens when you let those big walleyes, pike, muskie, smallmouth bass sit pretty much idle for 2 years, and all of a sudden you open up fishing again? Well, you can imagine. So our anglers that fish up at the Northwest Angle, a lot of them, if they're able to, they'll slide over the border into Ontario waters, that water that's just adjacent to the Northwest Angle, and it doesn't get hit hard at all. And the fishing right now is just phenomenal. They're catching so many fish and big fish, and it's just been really, really, really good.
So can during that Warrior tournament, was that the whole lake? Could they boat up to the angle and fish up at the angle too if they wanted to?
They could, yep. So they could fish the Minnesota waters of the Northwest Angle, yeah, yep. Okay. And you know, I think most anglers, I'm pretty certain, fish the big basin because, you know, when you're doing a catch, record, release tournament, slots really don't matter because you can release the fish. Hence, you know, 19.5 to 28-inch walleye you normally have to release on Lake of the Woods. That, you know, 26-inch walleye, for instance, will count because you can still, you know, get a picture of it on a bump board, hold up a hero shot for your second photo, and count that 26-inch fish as scoreable, and then let that fish go immediately. And so anyway, it's a different kind of tournament. You're fishing for the largest fish in the system. A 19-inch walleye in a keep tournament might be very valuable to you. But in a catch, record, release tournament, you want the biggest. So they're fishing the basin primarily. Some were pulling spinners. Really, the majority of them, I think, were pulling crankbaits on lead core.
That does change things a little bit. When you think about a lot of those tournaments, your fish have to fall within the legal keep limits, you know, your slot limits or whatever the case may be per lake. But when you have different rules like that, that kind of changes the game a little bit.
It totally changes the tournament, big time. And I fished a lot of walleye tournaments, and I can tell you that, you know, when you're fishing for those fish that have to be within a certain length limit, you know, you might be fishing near shore structure. You might be fishing weeds. You might be fishing lots of different things just to catch your fish that are that right size walleye that you can actually keep. You know, when you're fishing the biggest fish of the system, you know, a lot of the fish on Lake of the Woods, the bigger walleyes, many of them are going to be offshore. And I'll tell you why. It's because on Lake of the Woods, when a walleye becomes 25 inches, a good part of its diet can start shifting over to tullibees, which are almost like a cheeseburger for a walleye. And tullibees primarily live offshore. So consequently, a lot of the big walleyes you catch are going to be offshore out in that big basin. And not that big walleyes don't eat other things, they do, but tullibees certainly are a focus for them. That's one of the reasons that a lot of the bigger fish are caught out in that no man's land out in that big basin. And so that's where most of the fishing happened for a catch, record, release tournament.
Man, you know, I had a buddy snap me from up there, one of the guides up there, and he was having shore lunch on Garden Island. And there's just something about, you know, it's just kind of a neat adventure having shore lunch up on Garden Island. It's kind of a traditional thing up there for a lot of the guide services. You go out and you have a meal there, and they cook up some walleyes for you. And of course, you got the chance to catch the biggest walleye of your life. But just catching a bunch of eaters and having lunch on the shore, they fry it up on the beach there for you on Garden Island. It's a pretty neat experience.
Well, that's, you know, Garden Island for the charter boats. They also do Zippo Bay Resort. Some charters will go back to their own resorts and do a shore lunch if they're fishing close. Otherwise, for the guides up at the Northwest Angle, it's very traditional to stop on an island in Canada and do a shore lunch. And it's also a really neat experience. Part of that shore lunch is taking a break for the day. The other part of it is just the batter and the tartar sauce and the way they fry their potatoes. And there's all these nuances that these guides have adapted over the years to make those fish fries so darn good. And I mean, the problem with a good shore lunch on Lake of the Woods is that it screws up any kind of fish fry you have at home ever again.
I've asked those guides before, like, how many of these fish fries have you done? How many shore lunches have you done? And they can't even count that high. They've been doing them for so long, and they've got their little nuances. And you think you know how to fry fish, and then you watch one of those guides do it, on the shore somewhere out in the middle of the lake, and it's like, man, I can't do this in my kitchen.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's all the nuances these guys do. I mean, they one of the guides taught me something. He said, this is how we control the temperature of a walleye. He's frying walleyes in a cast iron pan. And when the temperature gets too hot, he always has room to add a cold fillet to bring the temperature of that oil down. But there's a lot of nuances that they do that really make those fish fries good. I'll tell you that one of the problems about a good fish fry, a good shore lunch that they do is it screws up a fish fry you have at home ever again because they're so good.
Yeah, absolutely. And Joe, for those guys going up to the angle, they can fish in Canadian waters again now, correct?
Yeah, it's game on, absolutely. So just like before the border closure, you stay at a Northwest Angle Resort, and then you can fish on Ontario waters. In fact, you don't have to call and check in at all. You don't have to call into CBSA and check in, as long as you're not touching land or touching a dock or doing a shore lunch or anything like that. So if you're just going to be fishing on the water, not touching land, you can go into Ontario waters, fish as long as you want, and then come back into U.S. waters and not have to check in at all. So it makes it really nice. Now, if you were going to do a shore lunch, then you'd have to call in to the 888 CAN Pass number and check in. And, of course, when you check in, now you got to make sure that you have your vaccination card, your COVID test that's less than 72 hours old, that sort of thing. And, of course, you would have had to have had the Arrive CAN app uploaded to your smartphone. And just for listeners too, that's what it takes to get into Canada now. Like if you're going to drive to the Northwest Angle instead of boat up or take the float plane, to get that 40 miles through Canada and then enter back into the angle, you need to have the Arrive CAN app with your vaccination card uploaded, as well as a PCR COVID test that's less than 72 hours old. That'll get you into Canada, and then once you get up to the Northwest Angle, you're good to go. And of course, our guests have been just fine traveling back south again too. No problems there. So the big thing is that it's game on. We're able to fish Ontario waters again from the Northwest Angle, which is a big draw. Again, those fish haven't really seen any or very little fishing for 2 summers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the stories I'm hearing, Brett, are just incredible about fishing.
And when it comes to knowing what to do and what you can and can't do and how to contact people up there, all that stuff's on your website?
Yeah, you know what? Our website's a good source. Otherwise, really, the best part is to keep up to date on things. Canada Border Services Agency is a really, really good source. You can certainly reach out to Lake of the Woods Tourism if you have specific questions. Otherwise, reach out to the Northwest Angle Resort that you're going to be staying, and they also are very dialed in.
That's lakeofthewoodsmn.com. And then also, you kind of keep that information coming out on your social media channels.
And we do have a lot of social media channels. It's Facebook, it's Twitter, it's Instagram. It's really big right now. And, of course, our YouTube channel where our videos are. But, that for real-time info, that's always another real good resource.
All right, Joe. Well, if people want to plan a trip to Lake of the Woods, I got 2 angles going here. Look at that. If people want to plan a trip to Lake of the Woods, Joe, where should they go?
You know what? Check out our website, and that is lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Northern Minnesota's Walleye Factory is a year-round world-class fishing destination. The perfect getaway this summer is just a short drive to Lake of the Woods. Fish Big Traverse Bay, the Rainy River, or visit the unique Northwest Angle. To catch big fish, you have to go where the big fish are. Plan your trip to Lake of the Woods at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. That's lakeofthewoodsmn.com. Hear more at sportingjournalradio.com or wherever you get podcasts.